The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. We have a special presentation on what agents really want, a practical guide to improving your inspection business. Before we get to the presentation, I'm going to take a moment to explain the webinar control panel, which all of you should see on the right side of your screen like this. At any point, you can expand or minimize the control panel by clicking this orange button. With the control panel expanded, you have access to an audio and questions section. For audio, you can choose between computer audio and listen to your speakers, probably like you're already doing. However, you can also select phone call and use the toll-free number to dial in and listen by phone. Of course, we'll always save time for question and answer at the end of the presentation, and your participation is encouraged. So submit your questions to us at any time. We love the community interaction, and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions. For those interested, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for replay on our YouTube channel. A link will be included in our follow-up email. You'll have to forgive me for not introducing myself sooner. My name is Brian with Horizon Inspection Software, and tonight I'm going to help by providing simple reminders about how Horizon can help you with many of Alan's suggestions. I'm glad to see so many familiar names in attendance this evening. I hope that everyone is doing well, and if after the presentation any of you need my assistance, please feel free to contact me at the information on screen. And joining me this evening is our special guest speaker, Alan Carson, President of Carson Dunlop. Since 1978, Carson Dunlop has been one of North America's largest home inspection firms, and a large portion of that success has been in learning how to work with real estate agents to deliver a truly memorable inspection experience that keeps them referring their clients. Tonight, Alan candidly shares 8 suggestions based on his 40-plus years experience working with the real estate community that will help you influence agents and gain their clients as future customers. How are you doing tonight, Alan?
I'm doing well, thanks, Brian. So, Brian, thank you for the introduction and the welcome. Hope everybody is settled in, and we'll see if we can have a little bit of fun with this and maybe learn a thing or two. Sharing ideas is pretty critical for the home inspection profession, so let's see if we can do a little bit of that. What we're going to do is begin with a quick look at our role and how home inspection fits into the real estate transaction. Home inspection is obviously a great service for clients. We help people make really important decisions every day. However, many real estate agents view home inspection as a necessary evil. At best, it slows the process down, and at worst, it can derail a sale. And since agents only get paid when a sale goes through, it's easy to understand their concerns about home inspectors. Now, our primary focus always has to be on taking great care of the client, but it may be helpful to let agents know you understand it is their client. We work with clients for about 3 hours. Agents work with them for a whole lot longer. In their mind, agents are lending us their client, and they expect us to be grateful and to return them in good working order. It doesn't cost anything to show agents that you understand and appreciate their perspective. Agents want the inspector to make the agent look good for recommending them. That means being available when they need you, showing up on time, looking professional, providing a great inspection experience, and delivering a clear, simple report. And by the way, good agents do not want you to sweep problems under the carpet. We are a single piece in their puzzle of putting a deal together. Not only do agents have to identify buyers, find the right house, negotiate an acceptable price and closing date, they also have to help with deposits, time-sensitive conditional offers, escrow, home inspection, of course, financing, title insurance, surveys, mortgage insurance, homeowners insurance, legals, and closing costs. So we are truly one spoke in their very large wheel. We should also understand that most times an agent doesn't need us, but when they do, it's often right now. Their world is a series of intermittent, urgent events, and time is of the essence. We have to be available on short notice. Here's an interesting way to look at it. If a house sells for $400,000 and the inspection fee is $400, our fee is 0.1% of the purchase price. Outstanding value, I would say. The real estate commission might be 5%, which is $20,000. That's 50 times what we get paid. Therefore, agents are 50 times more valuable than inspectors, or so it would appear based on that. You and I know that's not true, but understand that is their perspective. When you get it right, this is the kind of feedback you get from agents. So you are complimenting what they are doing rather than competing with it. Let's look at home inspection reports for a minute, thinking about what agents really want. Again, our primary focus is always on clients, but agents typically see our reports and they certainly develop their own opinions. Everyone appreciates clarity, brevity, and strong visuals. Nobody wants to read a 50-page narrative document. If people struggle to understand the report, they're frustrated with the home inspection company, even if the on-site experience was good. Great reports do not require a lot of effort to read or understand. Everybody loves executive summaries. In fact, many clients and agents never read the full report. It's kind of sad. A good summary at the beginning of a report creates a very positive impression. We know this because we surveyed our clients, we asked, and they told us. Lastly, the reason why we recommend PDF over website reports is that agents prefer them. It's not up to us, it's up to clients and agents. PDFs are universally accessible, easy to read on any device, and simple to download, store, and print. Despite some loud claims to the contrary, we are strong believers that PDF reports are superior to all others. This comment is indicative of what we're talking about. Brian, can you provide a few reminders about how to keep your reports clear and concise with Horizon?
Sure, Alan. I'd be glad to. Now, when it comes to publishing clear and concise reports with Horizon, the first thing I want everyone to remember is keep your recommendations consistent. Recommendations explain the property's condition, are the most important portion of the report, and where most of the reader's time will be spent. So it's essential that you make them as clear, informative, and easy to follow as possible. A simple way to achieve this is by ensuring all your recommendations are consistent. We suggest at a minimum, always including a location, task, and time. This helps the reader understand where the situation resides, what to do about it, and how soon it should be done. It is especially important that your tasks provide directive, like repair, replace, or monitor, to the reader. This helps them understand what must be done, and can help reduce liability versus using ambiguous language, like further evaluation. Also, our built-in implications help explain to the reader why it matters in simple language. So you don't need to do that in the notes. My next reminder is about keeping the executive summary just that, a summary of significant report items only. A lengthy summary of minor recommendations, or worse yet, every recommendation, makes the report unnecessarily long. It muddles the information together, making it hard for the reader to truly discern major from minor issues, and makes it look as though the inspector was uncertain or nervous as to why, or rather as to what, they should actually add to the summary. It is important to only prioritize significant report items on the summary, as it gives the reader context on what is a significant concern and should be taken into consideration when purchasing the home. On a side note, if you need to provide a separate report with all the recommendations. Generate a recommendation-only style report using the what to include options at report publishing. This way, you don't have to mess with the integrity of your primary report. My last reminder is to allow Horizon to do the work for you. Remember to take advantage of our illustrations, the digital home reference book, and our technical articles to help explain things to the reader, so you don't need to so you don't need to spend the time doing it yourself. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, our illustrations should be able to save you from writing novels. Although they are automatically included for most scenarios, remember you can include them on your own with any report item. Our digital home reference book provides a maintenance plan for each system, so you don't need to include this type of information in the main report. And our technical articles, embedded with most conditions, allow for more context on an issue without any pages to the report's length. Plus, not everyone really cares about the added insight, so don't force it upon every reader. Keep the report concise and give them the option to read more via the technical articles. Enough of me, back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Brian. Those are great tips to keep in mind. Let's talk a little bit about report writing tone. People buying houses are not at their best. They're stressed, prone to second guessing themselves, and if it's a couple, they're not always on the same page. They often get cold feet when they're making the largest purchase of their life. As you guys know, some people overreact to home inspection reports, and careless language can easily push people over the edge. As they say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. We need to set realistic expectations. People need to know that no home is perfect. Houses are complex like people. Just as we replace our worn-out clothes and shoes from time to time, homes need to replace their roofs, furnaces, and air conditioners. We help clients understand that homes have disposable systems. A house with an old furnace is not a bad home. We also make sure clients and agents understand that home maintenance and repair is part of the joy of home ownership. All homes need regular attention. Inspection reports are not a list of handyman items. The focus is on the big things that may change a reasonable person's mind about buying a home. When looking for the big stuff, we sometimes come across little things. We'll include those as a courtesy, but that's not the purpose of the inspection. We also remind clients and agents that a home inspection is a sampling exercise. We won't see everything. A great report anticipates the delicate state of mind of clients and presents information with perspective. For example, it's better to say that the roof is near the end of its life expectancy rather than shouting, "This roof is shot." We avoid words like defect, deficiency, and problem. We use condition. Our focus is on recommending improvements rather than dwelling on defects. We use the titles description, observations and recommendations, and inspection methods and limitations, what I might call soft words. For time frame, we much prefer as soon as practical rather than immediate. While home inspectors love to be helpful, in most cases we find less really is more. Horizon makes it easy to select items and rely on the illustrations, implications, and technical reference articles to provide additional information for those who are interested. And it is a little disappointing that most clients are not really interested in the additional information. The good news is, if you don't add a lot of notes, you save time, reduce the risk of typos, and avoid increasing liability if you get things wrong. Here's an agent that appreciates that we are delivering the information sensitively and keeping it in perspective. Let's touch on report delivery timing. Over 40 years, we have found a comfortable balance between immediate on-site delivery, which we used to do, and reports delivered days after the inspection, which we also explored. What we have found is that clients and agents are both comfortable with a professional report delivered by the end of the day of the inspection. Many clients comment on the quality of the report and the speed with which it is delivered. We get no complaints from agents about our report delivery times. Again, setting expectations really helps if you live up to your promises. For example, if you promise report delivery within 24 hours and deliver within 6, everybody is happy. On the other hand, if you promise 3-hour delivery and deliver within 6, you've let everybody down. Among the 1,200 or so agent testimonials on our website, here's one that specifically addresses the report delivery time. Brian, perhaps you can show people some of the Horizon tricks that will help them get their reports written quickly.
I'd be glad to, Alan. So I got 3 suggestions that I'm going to make for everyone. And for the most part, I'm sure everyone is already following these, but if not, I guarantee you, you can chip away at least half an hour at your current reporting times, if not more. First thing I'm going to suggest is that you use Horizon Mobile on-site and write the report as you inspect. Now, I know most of you in attendance are already thinking, hey, I already do this. Nothing new for me. And if that's the case, fantastic. I'm glad that you're taking advantage of Horizon Mobile. But for those who haven't converted to collecting their data on-site, it's time you reconsider how to inspect and give Horizon Mobile a second chance. Even if you're not prepared to write the entire report on Horizon Mobile, completely understand. Baby steps. But take advantage of features like the auto upload of the title page photo, applying templates for common reporting scenarios, and even SpeedWrite to quickly compile large parts of your report in real time with very little effort. Now, I understand that not everyone will utilize Horizon Mobile, so my next 2 suggestions are broad stroke appeal. Regardless if you use Horizon Mobile or Horizon Web, we've created templates and you can utilize them for any relevant topics. Templates are the quickest way for you to enter details about repetitive reporting topics, such as common system configurations, recurring complex recommendations, and inherent limitations and exclusions from your inspections. Templates are perfect for those types of scenarios, and when effectively utilized, can reduce reporting times by hours. If you aren't currently using templates to address your items, you're doing yourself a disservice. And last, but certainly not least, is my tip to use SpeedWrite for your list of required items. Like templates, SpeedWrite is available on Horizon Mobile and Web. So regardless of how you prefer to write your reports, make sure that SpeedWrite is part of your arsenal. Most standards of practice have on average 70 required items that must appear in every report, ranging from the configuration of each system to inspection methods and limitations encountered during the inspection. Adding this information to the report is repetitious, time-consuming, and without SpeedWrite can easily take over 30 minutes. With SpeedWrite, you'll be automatically prompted through the list of required items, eliminating the need to jump between categories, systems, and reduce the entry to a single click. I guarantee you'll save time on your current reports by following these 3 tips. Alan, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. And the folks at Carson Dunlop don't like me to say it, but I find that SpeedWrite is magical. And getting all of those items in under 5 minutes is absolutely doable. It sounds bold, it sounds a little bit too aggressive, but you know what? It just happens to be true. Okay, let's touch on scheduling inspections. It is super important, detailed work. Over the years, we've used everything from paper calendars to notebooks to spreadsheets to whiteboards. We eventually got it right for ourselves and Horizon users, and then we needed to make it convenient for agents and clients. As I mentioned, agents don't need you most of the time, but when they do, they need you right now. So it's magical if you can be available 24/7. We think it's better still if you make the booking process as simple as 1, 2, 3. And of course, flexibility is a key, and Horizon gives you that. Speaking of convenience, allowing clients or agents to pay online by credit card simplifies their lives and yours. It creates a professional image for your company and can eliminate that awkward ask for payment at the end of the inspection. Don't just take my word for it. Agents tell us that they appreciate the quick response and being available when they need you. It makes a significant difference. Sounds so simple, but it matters. Brian, can you share with the folks some of the ways that we try to make everybody's life easy?
I'd be glad to, Alan. So a couple suggestions here is, first and foremost, go ahead and have the online booking calendar on your website. This provides clients and agents alike with 24/7 access to your schedule and the ability to book an inspection. It's not just a form either, but a sophisticated booking tool that is integrated with your Horizon schedule to allow for seamless booking capabilities between the two. Agents also love knowing that even if a deal closes after midnight, they can go onto your website and secure an inspection without ever having to pick up the phone.
Brian, that is so true. And it's funny, at Carson Dunlop, our office is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, and we're open from 8:30 to 4 on Saturday and 10 to 4 on Sunday. So we're open a lot. And still, over the last 12 months, about 27% of our inspections are booked through the online booking system. Agents find it really convenient. It puts the load off them really quickly, and it requires follow-up, but the ball's in our court then, and the agents love that. They don't have to do the outreach. So if you're not doing it, it is really something to look at. The price is right. If you're a Horizon user, the online booking setup costs you absolutely nothing, and nothing in terms of dollars, and maybe 10 minutes of your time. It enhances your professionalism, makes agents happy, makes clients happy. It just makes such good sense.
Thanks for that, Alan. My next reminder is to use the scheduler for maximum efficiency when you're booking and managing your inspections. The scheduler, excuse me, I apologize, everyone. The scheduler should be your daily work screen. With a single click, you can select any date and see the entire day schedule of inspections and appointment notes. You can monitor the status of each inspection and tell if the contract has been accepted or payment provided without even opening the work order. Appointment notes provide visibility into when you're not available for an inspection or other obligations. Plus, it is the ideal starting point when booking an inspection. When someone calls to book an inspection, often the first question out of their mouth is, "Are you available for this date and time?" Or the counterpoint to that is, "What is your availability?" By being at the scheduler, you're able to immediately answer that question. You'll sound more professional, and you'll make the caller feel more confident in the decision to book with you. And remember that all of your inspections and appointment notes can conveniently be pushed to a Google Calendar with our one-way integration. Another important reminder is to take advantage of agent profiles. With an agent profile, you can store all the relevant information about the agent, their company, and booking habits. Agent profiles keep historical data showing how many times an agent has booked with you, provided referrals, and most importantly, provides the last inspection address, date, and who were their clients. This is great information for you to use in rapport building. You can even include personal notes like a lockbox code commonly used or discounts their client receives. Agents love this attention to detail when booking inspections. And finally, allow your clients to pay online with their credit cards. Piggybacking off Alan's earlier comment, it is crucial for you to keep up with the modern trends and the expectations of flexible payment. Millennials like myself, although I'm loath to admit, I am reluctant to use any service where I cannot pay with my credit card, and I'll often look elsewhere. Don't lose out on an inspection over something as trivial as less than 2% of the transaction total.
Yeah, the convenience of online payment combined with the contract acceptance tools have made a significant difference to our business. And just to give you a couple of numbers, about 95% of our contracts are accepted online before the inspection, And perhaps more interestingly, about 97% of our payments are received online before the inspection ever starts. And people say, well, gee, I'm reluctant to ask for money before I deliver the service. We felt the same way, and I have to think back now because it's been several years since we started collecting the money up front. The reality is your clients don't have a perception as to how it ought to work. They'll just pay. When you order lots of services nowadays, you pay for them up front. Clients don't ask, don't think about it. And the other key benefit of doing that is it takes away the awkwardness of starting off the inspection by having somebody read a contract, an agreement, sign something that tells them all the limitations of the inspection. It takes time. It starts off on a negative note. And as I mentioned earlier, when you get to the end of the inspection, it's great to summarize, wish the clients well, and ride off into the sunset. When you have to stop and ask for payment, it changes the tone of the inspection experience. And I think it ends it on a down note rather than an up note. So I love these tools. Again, the price is right, the convenience is there. And of course, with the payment first and contract first options, you're protected. If you set those up with one click each, by the way, your clients can't get their reports until they accept your contract terms and pay for the inspection. It's built to protect you.
Thank you for that, Alan.
All right, let's move on and talk about communication, customer service, and so on. When I talk to people, they say, what business are you in? And I often say, we're in the communication business. We just happen to do home inspections. Despite all of our modern technology, communication remains a challenge for many people and most businesses. It's a hard thing. Great communication isn't restricted to the home inspection report. It's important to confirm the inspection details before the inspection occurs. Reminding people of the inspection date and time is both a courtesy and terrific communications. By the way, our no-shows have dropped to almost zero since we started using the reminders and those good communication tools. The goal is to establish a relationship with your clients and agents, and that happens before, during, and after the inspection. In fact, well after the inspection, and we'll talk about that in a bit. You want to be their unbiased professional advisor, and I'm talking about agents and clients. Here's an agent describing her perspective of our process and our report. The friendly and honest comment is a result of our rapport building efforts on site. Brian, can you share some of the ways Horizon helps you be a great communicator?
I'd be glad to, Alan. I've got a couple suggestions here. So, excuse me. I want to remind everyone that when it comes to communicating with agents and clients alike, utilize Horizon Marketer and automate your standard inspection emails. With Horizon Marketer, you can automate all the essential emails, including appointment reminders, client and agent thank yous, asking for tongue-tied here, asking for reviews or referrals, offering additional services, or even a follow-up annual inspection. Our Horizon Marketer emails are high-quality, pre-designed HTML emails that will keep you in contact without ever actually having to lift a finger. Moreover, because of the automation, it ensures your email communications are consistent and on time every time, even if you aren't able to be. And worst case scenario, you forget, Horizon Marketer doesn't. We've got you covered. Plus, there's full visibility into everything that you send to the client or agent via the marketer timeline. And for example, you can see on the screenshot here, this is a perfect example of what we do at Carson Dunlop. Looking on the screen, there are 7 different automated emails that are either being triggered to send or have already sent to the client and agent. Look at it on screen. We've got, first and foremost, letting the inspector know the client has accepted our contract. Clients pay it online, so we've sent them a receipt. A reminder to the client 24 hours before the inspection set to occur. Same with the buyer agent. We've got a follow-up pending to send once the inspection has been completed, as well as an action list to the buyer agent. So a lot of great automation, which ensures that you don't physically have to send these emails every single time. And think about it. You do 100, 200 inspections a year. You're sending 5 emails on average in and around the inspection. There's 500, 1,000 emails that you can automate. Even if it took you, say, a minute to write those emails. There's 500 minutes, 1,000 back for you to do whatever you'd like.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool, and it took us a long time to get this one right. And I love the way the triggers give you the flexibility to have them go when you like. A lot of people do monthly follow-up emails, providing additional value. And I'm really a believer in giving your clients more value, giving agents more value, and maintaining those relationships, especially with the agents who are going to be referring you down the road. And again, I would encourage you not to be selling, but more to be providing real value to people, giving them good, solid information, maintenance advice. And by the way, agents will take that good advice and pass it on to clients as though it was their idea, and we're absolutely fine with that.
Thanks for that feedback, Alan. And another thing I'd like to mention is that Horizon keeps track of everything, and I mean everything. So here from the log of emails at the confirmation email tab, you get insight into when you send out the email, to who. So if a client ever calls back and says, hey, I didn't receive the confirmation email, or worse yet, their agent calls and a bit of a calamity saying, hey, my client didn't get the email, you can go in and see when it was sent as well as to who. Very likely might have ended up in their spam, or sometimes an agent accidentally deleted the email, but we have that contingency here and we can see what was done, and obviously we can resend the email with a simple click. We also have the work order log, which records everything that transpires inside the work order. Most importantly, we have the contract acceptance highlighted here. So a lot of people are nervous that they send out the confirmation email and their client goes in and accepts the contract online. They don't have anything physically signed and documented. Well, we want to help alleviate that concern by pointing out the log view inside the work order. And most importantly, what I've highlighted. Whenever your client accepts the contract online, it registers their IP address, the date and time that the submission was made, their name, and the terms they agreed to. I assure you, in the rare event that you have any litigation issues, you can show this and it will prove what was done and where. Please feel free to utilize that to the best of your ability. Now, we also log the activity when you publish your reports, when reports are generated, published, sent, and even opened. You have full visibility into everything that transpires from inception all the way to completion.
Yeah, Brian, that's a great point. And there's a couple of things I wanted to mention here. On the log, the contract wording that the client accepted is included in each discrete log. So you know exactly, you might have multiple contracts or you might change your contract from time to time. So if you get somebody coming back to you in 6 months, a year, or even 2 years, you can see exactly what they accepted in terms of the contract. So irrespective of how many you use, whether you've changed your contract, you know exactly what they saw and exactly what they accepted. The other thing on this keeping track of everything, and I hope you never have to use the logs this way, but we had a case where things were headed to court and people were adamant that they hadn't received their report. And this was a big issue and a very big deal. We were able to capture this information, take a screenshot, send it off to our legal advisors, and you know what? The problem disappeared. So that's the power of it. And again, hope you don't have to use it, but to be able to know that in fact people did open it. And when things get into a lawsuit, lawyers are not shy about saying, we'll trace this IP address back and figure out who opened stuff. So it is invisible in the background, no work, no effort for you, but one of those assets that when you need it, sure is nice to have it there.
Thank you for that, Alan.
All right, let's move on and talk about one of my favorite topics. We mentioned earlier that agents have lots of pieces to their puzzle. So here's a thought. The more pieces of the puzzle you provide, the more valuable you are to agents and clients. Everybody understands and appreciates the convenience of one-stop shopping. So when you provide additional services that people need, you increase your value and credibility, not to mention your revenue. You might speak to agents about what things they are looking for. It might be swimming pools and spas, mold, radon, lead, or termites, for example. By the way, you don't have to provide all these services yourself. We perform some, but we coordinate with third parties for others to make sure we provide high quality, prompt solutions. You don't need to be all things to all people. Services like Recall Check for recall notices on systems and appliances is another great way to offer more services that have universal appeal. Home binders and home management services are another way to provide added value for clients and agents. And again, here's an agent's comment about appreciating the one-stop shopping feature. Let's talk about action list. And it's something that, again, took us a while to get our head around. But we finally came to the understanding and appreciation that many agents and clients use the home inspection report to renegotiate with the seller. Again, one of those things that I really wish that's not the way the world was, but there you have it. It's the world we live in. So most agents hate having to cut or copy content from a home inspection report to add it to the purchase agreement addendum. It's time consuming and error prone. And so we have a solution for them. It's called Action List. The agent often provides guidance into what things the buyer should ask the seller to address. They may ask for items to be repaired or replaced, or they may ask for a price reduction. Buyers and agents don't want to share the entire inspection report, only specific items. In the past, agents asked us to provide excerpts or summary reports. We hated being asked to do more work for no additional fee. We finally empowered agents and clients to get what they need quickly and easily. And the best part is it doesn't dilute the report or increase our liability. Now, Action List takes a bit to get your head around, so we'll include a link for more information in our follow-up email. This is not a how-to seminar, this is a kind of what to do discussion. Let's talk about going the extra mile. We think going above and beyond helps differentiate us and creates a competitive advantage. And there are lots of different ways to go the extra mile. You might provide additional information to help people look after their home. Including the home reference book in your reports is effective, and of course it's free. By the way, at Carson Dunlop, we also give people a paper copy, and that's because we like the thump value of a heavy, handsome book. Nice to give people something tangible at the end of the inspection. Offering free technical advice for as long as people own the home is another powerful bonus. Agents really like that, by the way. It sounds great, and quite frankly, very few people take us up on it. You can go the extra mile by offering annual maintenance inspections to follow up on the report and help people keep their home in great shape, help protect their investment, improve their comfort, and reduce operating costs. Some of our colleagues have some creative solutions, including cutting the grass on closing day, delivering pizza to the house on moving day, or providing a voucher for a nearby restaurant. Some of those are a bit out there, but I wanted you to understand what some of the folks in North America are doing. Warranties, double your money back guarantees, offers to buy the home back if clients are not happy, providing discounted alarm services, or home and auto insurance solutions. These are all examples of going the extra mile. Perhaps the most interesting way to think about going the extra mile is to ask agents what's important to them. Is there anything else we could be doing for you to make your life easier or better? It's not a question most home inspectors ask, but it's a question I love. Now, you'll have to ask enough agents to find some common threads so you don't get pulled in a bunch of different directions. However, let me close by saying that going the extra mile doesn't matter much if you don't get the main things right. And I'm going to say there are three main things: terrific customer service performed in a friendly, professional manner, a well-done inspection, and a simple, clear report. All right, I've kind of pontificated enough. Brian, is this a good time for me to stop talking and maybe do some question and answer?
You know what, Alan? We've got a ton of questions on the docket already, so I think in the interest of time, got about 20 minutes left before we hit 9 o'clock, got our content covered. Let's jump into some Q&A. So if you bear with me, folks, I'm just sorting through these questions. And if you are not staying for the Q&A, I do want to emphasize that the Q&A portion will be available on the replay video, and that's going to be on our YouTube channel. The follow-up email will be sent tomorrow afternoon to everyone in attendance. So if you're not able to stay or you want a refresher, feel free to click on the link, watch the video again, or click on the second link to learn more about Action Plan. For those that are staying, we're jumping into the Q&A. And the first question we have is from a gentleman by the name of Robert. And Alan, Robert is asking a question about how is it best to sort of make contact with agents? What's the best way to engage them, get new agents on board, or meet them?
Well, that could be the topic of a whole webinar, but let me give you one or two typical approaches and then one or two that may not be so typical. So a lot of home inspectors like to get their brochures into offices. It helps if you have your own stands to deliver. It helps if you provide information to refill the brochure stands when you drop off brochures. I'm going to tell you on that one, repetition is really important. You have to be consistent. Some people deliver goodies to offices. We don't do that, but that's a pretty common approach. Another common approach is to provide value-added presentations to real estate offices during regular meetings. And a couple of things about that. No real estate company and no agent wants to hear you talk about how great your home inspection services are. If you want to get in front of real estate agents, you've got to bring them something of value. You've got to provide them information that solves a problem for them or fills a need. So it can't be about you, it's got to be about them. When we talk to agents about doing this, we have typically a list of relevant current topics that we allow them to choose from, and we're happy to go in and talk about those. One thought on that, a 10-minute presentation is probably more effective than a 1-hour presentation. A, it's easier for you to prepare and deliver, but B, your goal is to make an impression and be memorable. You can be memorable in a short period of time or forgettable in an hour. So don't suck up their morning. Don't take their time. Make your points. Remember when we were talking about report writing and I said less is more? The same thing applies to presentations. So it takes some persistence. You're going to get some no's before you get yeses. And by the way, no means not yet, not ever. It means not yet. It doesn't mean not ever. So keep coming back. Now, I said I'd talk about something that's not so typical, and I do a whole discussion about this. Let me see if I can do it in 30 seconds. One of the other alternatives is to reach out to top producing agents. And the reason I say that is one of the concerns I have about doing office presentations is that the agents who attend office presentations are not always the top producers. In my experience, the really high producing agents often do not attend the meetings. So you might be talking to the new agents, the part-time agents, the agents winding down their practice when you do office presentations. So I really love the concept of reaching out to top producing agents. And if you think it's crazy to say invite them out for coffee, breakfast, or lunch, I'm going to tell you I must be crazy. I think talking to them one on one about them, again, not about you, but talking to them about their business, talking to them about their needs, their successes, and their frustrations is a very interesting strategy. And I won't go through the finances of it, but I can tell you that the effort you make doing that can yield pretty nice results if you're willing to take a long-term view. Overnight success is the kind of thing that happens in movies, not so much in real life, and certainly not in our home inspection business. Success takes a while and it takes some persistence. So, Brian, I have to apologize for the long answer, but it's an important topic to me.
Hey, it's important to everyone in attendance, and I'm sure they appreciate you taking the time to explain your answer. Robert, hope you value that answer. Obviously, we were going to continue along with our next question. And Jason has a question about where's a good place to place your executive summary? Now, the word executive may mislead people because we've added that in. So let's just call it the summary page for lack of for clarity's sake.
I have a very strong opinion about this. Put it up front or don't put it in at all. Very few people are going to read through to the end of the report looking for a summary. I think it has to be front and center. I talk to lots of home inspectors who say, gosh, I don't want to have a summary because then people will tell me that I screwed up and didn't put an important issue in the summary. And I'm going to say, I understand and appreciate that. My best advice to you is get over yourself. The summary is the summary. And we have some language. I think there's some stuff in the default horizon that might help you with that says, here is a summary of significant items, but you still need to read the whole report. I'm absolutely comfortable that after doing hundreds of thousands of inspection reports, we have never been called to task for what we've put in the summary. People value it. Agents love it because it allows them to focus. And as I said earlier in the discussion, nobody wants to read a long document anymore. And I swear to goodness that with every passing month, people's attention span in North America gets shorter. People's willingness to read stuff is disappearing. So we need to move with the times. We need to keep it short and sweet. And the shorter, the better. Summary's got to be at the front, Brian.
Thank you for that, Alan. And I just wanted to point out, folks, that on screen, I did want to highlight some of that pre-built-in verbiage that we have on the summary page. Went back to our earlier slide, just to give you some context on what we actually provide there for you. So let me get back to our Q&A slide. All right, so the next question. This one may not necessarily be so much for yourself, Alan, so I'm going to go ahead and just tackle that quickly. Tom had a question about where do you find SpeedWrite on the mobile app? Tom, great question. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the mobile app on hand where I could pop it up on screen this particular second. So I'm going to have to give you a bit of a verbal explanation. However, if you open up a report on the mobile app, go to the menu, you're going to see SpeedWrite smack dab right in the middle of it. You're going to be able to open it up for any inspection. And Tom or anyone else in attendance, if you'd like a personal one-on-one about how to use SpeedWrite or the mobile app, please contact me after the session. We'll set up a time this week or next and go over your questions, your needs, and concerns. So Tom, hopefully with that bit of a direction, you're able to find it. Otherwise, give me a ring. We'll set up some time to go over it together. Back to you, Alan. And actually, Tom had a subsequent question about the online booking. What do you feel when an agent offers, say, multiple inspectors versus just one, and maybe it helps reduce their liability? Does that benefit to them? What's the practicality of that?
So you're talking about when the agent gives the client a choice of home inspection companies to work with?
You got it.
Well, there's a lot of real estate agents who say that those are the rules of the game for them. And whether it is mandated by the company they work for or someone else, a lot of real estate agents feel obliged to provide three names. But I'm going to tell you, human communication is a wonderful thing. And in my experience, even the agents who provide three inspectors' names will make it clear to their client who their preference is. So by the way, I'm going to circle back to the first question we got. And it's one of the things that we often include in our discussion with new agents. And the discussion goes something like this. You're probably working with you're probably working with a home inspector, and we're not here to disrupt an existing relationship. We respect professional relationships. What we would love to do is to have a chance to be your backup home inspection company. So if your main source is not available, on vacation, can't work, whatever, we'd like to be that solution in the background so that you have some belt and suspenders protection. So again, we're trying to be in the solution business, not the problem business. We're not trying to be aggressive, and we have to respect other people's professional relationships. That's a possible approach to how you would talk to an agent about providing some service for them.
Thank you for that, Alan. Next question is from Dan. When there is a summary in the report, say we include photos, it seems very confusing because it appears again in the general body. Is there a way to deal with this? What do you suggest, to avoid this kind of duplication?
Well, Horizon's magical, so it allows you to leave the photos and the illustrations off the summary. So on your report publishing page, you can go and select that option. And again, Brian is a master at all of this stuff. And if you need a hand with that, Brian can help you set up your system so that your summary is just that. I absolutely agree with you, Dan, by the way. You don't want the photos and the illustrations repeated in the summary. Absolutely no need for that. So let's get it right. And it's quick and easy on the report publishing page. But again, if you need a hand with it, happy to do it.
Yet, just to reinforce Alan's statement, Ariel and myself are here for your support and assistance. You need help, you need insights. We are there to give you that level of comfort and assurity. Please reach out to me with whatever you need, and I'll do my best to help out. My pronunciation, I want to make sure I'm correct on this, so I apologize if it's not. I believe it's Jacques. And Jacques has a question. Is it a good idea to have a hard copy of a signed contract for the client and inspector?
I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to be careful with my answer. I can tell you that we do not provide a hard copy of the contract. I'm going to say that there's a lot of business that gets transacted in the world these days without a hard copy. I can tell you that our lawyers have told us we don't need one in our home inspection business. But again, I don't want you relying on somebody else's legal advice. You should probably get your own. We don't do it. My understanding is you don't need to. Interestingly, I was trying to help my daughter get set up. She's going to school in the States, and she signed a lease and went through a whole bunch of legal stuff with no hard copies of anything getting done. So I'm about 90% comfortable that a hard copy isn't necessary. And I've got 5 kids, most of them millennials, and my kids don't like paper. They think it's wasteful and environmentally harmful. So some of your clients may actually find a printed copy a bit old-fashioned and maybe a bit insensitive. So sometimes you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, but I'd encourage you to do a quick check with your lawyer, but I'm inclined to say probably don't want or need a printed copy.
Fantastic. This one's actually not a question for you, Alan, but I wanted to reinforce something you said earlier. And Gil, thanks for this. Gil says, I recently used the logs of the work order and activity in addition to Google Timeline to assist my insurance company lawyer in making a large lawsuit go away.
Thank you, Gil. Much appreciated. That's valuable information for everybody sitting in.
Now, moving from that, and again, thanks, Gil. Andrew has a question about, is there any concern, conflict of interest when you offer referring or follow-up services?
Depends what you mean by referring or follow-up services. So if you're going to provide additional investigative work, swimming pool inspections, termite, mold investigations, indoor air quality, that sort of thing, you're providing similar work to what a home inspection does. You are not leveraging the results of the home inspection. So if your follow-up work is to repair the roof that you described in your report as damaged, I'm going to say that looks and feels like a conflict of interest. So it sort of depends what that additional referral service is. So using the inspection report to derive further work on the house is questionable in my opinion. Using the relationship to solve additional problems for clients, I feel quite differently about. I hope that differentiation is clear.
Excellent. Thank you, Alan. Hisham has a question, and although we didn't have time to address this specific element of Horizon, I assure you, we haven't forgotten about it, and this is a perfect segue. What about Agent Book? I know it's a presentation unto itself, but set the plate.
So it took me quite a while when my team tried to explain Agent Book to me. And for those who haven't had a chance to look at it, I didn't know that apps could be individual. So the way it works is that every one of your agents can have their own app. And on their phone, they can have a little button, strangely called Agent Book, that allows an agent to book an inspection. And the magic for me, and the agents who do it swear by it, the magic for me is that they can open the app and in 2 clicks, less than 10 seconds, book an inspection. To Brian's earlier point, it's like online booking. It's not a form that they fill out. It actually registers on your schedule. They can book and inspect. We keep it absolutely dead simple. It suggests a time or date, and it automatically shows the next available date and time in your schedule to them. They simply click it. They get an email confirming it. You get notified. Horizon gets notified, and you follow up with the agent to get the details at their convenience. The magic is if they're negotiating with somebody and they've been going through a deal all Saturday evening, and it's now 1 a.m. on Saturday, they finally got to yes. The client's from New York and has to go back to New York at the end of the day Monday. They need to know if they can get you in the house Monday morning. Agent Book allows them to do that without breaking stride, without taking more than 20, 30 seconds. As I say, you open it, you click, and you're done. It's just incredible. So the agents don't need to identify themselves. Horizon knows who the agent is because each agent gets a different app. They don't have to type in their name, their phone number, their email address. They just go, it says, "Hi, Mary, book here." And they click and close, they hit click, they submit, and they're done. They can write a note if they want, they can expand if they choose to, but it is something. And so remember I talked earlier about connecting with agents and providing top agents with additional services. So if you're having a one-on-one with a top agent, it's a great thing to show them with your phone. By the way, a lot of inspectors have that set up for themselves so that when they're out in the field, they can use it as though they were a client or agent, and they can book something into their schedule on the fly in almost zero time and again, get right back to what they were doing. So there's lots of power to Agent Book. It's so small, it's so simple. I didn't even think it was possible till the guy showed me how to do it.
If you've got more questions or want more insight on Agent Book, you can always take this offline with myself or Ariel. Be glad to help anyone out with that. Now, this again is not necessarily a comment for you, Alan, but just helping reinforce some of the things you've suggested today. And Dan had a statement. The last webinar I joined was about credit card payments. We were talking about Guardian Financial. And they're a great company, folks. If you aren't already enrolled with them, you definitely want to consider jumping on board today. But having said that, first, Dan wasn't convinced, but he decided to go forth, and he's surprised with how positive the results are with using and accepting credit card payments.
It is something that a lot of people are nervous about up front, and anything new and different feels like it has some risks. The good news is what we're talking to you about is not something that we're trying to explore. We're telling you what we do and what we've done. So while there are no guarantees in life, you're not breaking new ground. You're following what we've been doing. And believe me, I've spared you all the mistakes and the missteps we've made along the way, and I'm just sharing with you the things that have worked for us. Doesn't mean they'll work for everybody, doesn't mean there aren't better ways to do things, but This is our experience, what works for us that we're sharing with you.
Thanks, Alan. And again, thanks, Dan, for that feedback. Ian has a question about, he's got an agent that pays for all of the pre-listing or seller's inspections, right? Do you see this as a potential conflict of interest?
Absolutely not. That's a great question, by the way, and we did agonize over this for a little bit. Who pays for the inspection doesn't really matter. The question is, who is relying on the report and who's the report for? In a pre-listing inspection, the report is put out to the public for anybody coming through the house to have access to, prospective buyers. So the privacy issues kind of go away. The agent paying for the inspection doesn't really matter to us. Now, others may disagree. I've had some interesting discussions with home inspectors around this over the years, but from my perspective, and again, if you objected to that and you insisted that the agent pay for the inspection, that is, to me, imposing your will onto a relationship that you have no place imposing it on. So if an agent wanted to pay for the inspection and you forced the client to pay you and then the agent to give the client the money, you couldn't prevent that. And all you've done is aggravated everybody because you've created more steps and more work for them. So to me, it doesn't really matter. Are you going to be in the pocket of the real estate agent? Well, I'll tell you what, if you're writing reports to satisfy real estate agents asking you to cut corners, you've got some pretty significant problems. You write reports that, and by the way, I've said this about 1,000,000 times and I'll say it again now, who is your obligation to? The seller, the buyer, the agent? And I'm going to tell you none of the above. Your obligation is to the house. And your obligation is to create a report that reflects your opinion of the condition of the house. You do that, and to me, it doesn't matter who your client is, you are going to be fine no matter what.
Daniel asked a question about missing the last part of the webinar. Dan, just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for replay on our YouTube channel. And we're going to be sending a follow-up email to everyone in attendance and who registered. You're going to receive that tomorrow afternoon, so you can check out the entire video at your leisure once you receive that email. So stay tuned. We've got a ton of questions. Now, folks, the reality is we don't want to overextend ourselves, so to speak. We really appreciate the engagement. We respect everyone's time. We've been an hour. We're going to go over a few more questions. We may not be able to get to everyone's question this evening. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to store all the questions we weren't able to address. I'm going to speak to Alan. We're going to get those questions addressed, and I'm going to send you some information on how we answered those questions as well. So just due to time, we're going to ask several more questions here. First of which, let me see here. So Barney asked a question about Horizon reports and being stored in the cloud. How long are they available for the client?
Our commitment is 7 years. So far in practice, it's forever.
Thank you for that, Alan. Do you email a copy? Pardon me. Jerry has a question. Do you email a copy of the signed contract to the client?
The client receives a copy of the contract automatically.
Excellent. Okay, just looking here. Do Carson Dunlop inspectors use phones on site with the mobile app or tablets?
Phones for the most part. We have 17 inspectors, and I can tell you with a certain degree of confidence, no two are exactly the same. So we get quite an arsenal. We have some tablets out there. We have some phones. We have some laptops. So it's soup to nuts.
A number of people have asked this question. What do you find the typical length of a report is?
That's a great question. And remember when I say less is more, Horizon builds out the report for you pretty quickly. If you're 30 or 40 pages, I think that's great. To be honest with you, the most ones that I see from Horizon users are longer than that. I would make that a goal to keep them down around 30 pages if you can.
Perfect here. All right, folks. And let me see here. Rick has a question, and you know what, folks? Just in the interest of time, I see the attendance is dwindling down. This is going to be the last question for this evening, and we will carry on with any questions in the Q&A that we record. But Rick has a question. Do you always provide a cost of repairs in the report?
We generally do, yes. Unless there's special circumstances, we might say this possible concealed damage, and we'll say if we suspect there's something else going on, we'll be very careful with that. But when we provide a cost, we always provide a range of at least 100%.
Fantastic. All right, everyone. Thank you for taking the time this evening to listen to our presentation, hear what Alan has to say about how you can influence agents and get them to want to use you in the future. Remember that if you need our assistance, please reach out to myself, Ariel, for any support. You need some training, one-on-one assistance, or even a courtesy report review, reach out to me at any point in time, and I'd be glad to help you out. If there's anything that we can do further at Horizon, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always there to provide assistance. Thank you for your time this evening. And Alan, is there anything you'd like to finish up with?
I wanted to thank the folks for taking time out of their busy lives. And Brian, I wanted to thank you for all your work preparing this, setting it up, and facilitating as always. Great job.
It's an absolute pleasure. Love to hear what you have to say, Alan. Everyone in attendance, have a fantastic evening. Have many safe and hopefully defect-free inspections on the horizon, no pun intended. Talk to you all later. And again, if you need anything from me or Alan, reach out to us. Have a good evening, everyone, and thanks for choosing Horizon.